if you'd only look more closely at your life, you would discover that you're moved in each moment by a sense of dissatisfaction that may in fact be unacknowledged, right? So like you're just moving on to the next thing, but there's a stress in your life that is motivating more or less everything you do. Your life has the character of a kind of long emergency, and yet there are people who are happy enough or lucky enough or positive enough that if you ask them, well, are you stressed out? Are you moved by a profound sense of dissatisfaction? Are you overlooking the present moment, kind of compulsively trying to get on to the next thing, even if in the present moment is full of thing you thought you wanted a moment ago? They're kind of they're deeply insensitive to the dynamics of what's happening, and if you have a satisfying enough life for long enough, yeah, you can spend years and just see no point to this kind of consideration. Well, that's fine. You're a very happy person, and very lucky, and not in a lot of physical pain, and so yeah, you're not. There are people like this who just and there are many good ways. I mean, this is a psychologically strong way to be. It's nice to be resilient, right, and not to suffer much. So some of you get frustrated, but the thing you were counting on doesn't happen, and you spend 2 minutes being disappointed rather than 2 days or 2 weeks, right? So there are people who are very lucky just by dint of genes and upbringing, and they're not shopping for a path to enlightenment because they don't see a problem, right? Doesn't mean there isn't a problem. Doesn't mean that they're not going to crash and burn sometime, right? So a lot of what spiritual life is, or and contemplative practice is a kind of training for the bad times, right? So you're kind of getting ready for the worst day of your life, right? And the worst day of your life is coming, right? If it hasn't happened already, it will happen eventually, right? And now with any luck, your bad times will not be as bad as humanly possible, right? It's possible to have just an unendurably bad life, right? And we're all hoping we get luckier than that. In the future, as in the present, your mind is all you have, right? Your mind, your ability to be happy or be at peace in the midst of what is happening is whatever it is in this moment. And if it's untested in this moment because you have everything you want and you're comfortable, well, then you don't really know what tools you have to work with when the wheels start coming off. And people who have thought a lot about this have discovered that there are some tools that are worth having in hand. And when you become sensitive to how it is you suffer, there's not a lot going on there. They're not novel processes. It's just whenever you're suffering, really suffering, you are lost in thought. Your own thoughts are just like this. They just arise, right? And you don't actually know what you will think next any more than you know what I'm going to say next, right? It's just, it feels like you in a way that my voice doesn't feel like you. But it is, if you pay attention, fundamentally just as surprising, it's just as novel, it's just as ungoverned by you. You're not choosing it. You can't. To choose what you think would require that you think it before you think it. And being able to decide to drop your anger, or drop your embarrassment, or drop your anxiety because it's not useful is like a superpower. To have the choice to no longer indulge this negative emotion that is leading nowhere worth going is a hugely empowering and hugely useful skill to develop. And meditation is the way to develop that. Meditation can equalize pleasant and unpleasant experiences because you realize that the thing that is aware of pleasure is the same thing that's aware of pain. Meditation is a way of taking responsibility for this process and dissecting out the variable that is actually universal, which is it's just the distraction versus the alternative, and then it's just the practice of non-distraction.